Hey guys, Josh here from Sportitude running. In front of me, I have got the Brooks Ghost Max, which is a men's and a women's pair, and I've also got the Brooks Ghost 15, men's and women's. Today's review, we're going to be talking about this new and exciting shoe from Brooks. We're also going to compare it to what the Brooks Ghost 15 is. So we've got the same name here, Ghost Max, Ghost 15. So we want to break down the differences across the outsole, the midsole, the upper, give you all the information at home that you need to, who knows, maybe make one of these shoes your next shoe purchase. So like we always do, let's get stuck in. So break down the foot type first. They're both designed for a neutral runner. They're both designed for someone looking for cushioning out on the pavement. So in theory, you would think they're sort of talking to the same demographic. However, the engineering concept of the Ghost Max in comparison to the Ghost 15 is significantly different. The Ghost Max is going to be targeting someone who's looking for a little bit of a softer ride underneath their foot and is searching or seeking an element of a rocker feel through the forefoot. So the great thing about the Ghost Max is they've addressed that specific engineering type where they've placed a really, I wouldn't say aggressive, but a smooth rocker, which is just after midfoot as you're gearing towards that exit out of your gait cycle. So the rocker is a little bit further back, but that's a good thing with this shoe because what you find with the element of a rocker in the 15, it's more pushed towards the forefoot because it isn't a high heel to toe offset, and that's part of the engineering breakdown, which we'll get to in the midsole part of today's review. But again, both talking to that neutral foot type, someone looking for cushioning, but I can tell you right now the Ghost Max 15 is significantly softer underneath the foot and it has a really nice smooth rocker through to the forefoot. The other thing too is they both cater for orthotics absolutely fine, but I do find the Ghost Max to be a little bit more orthotic friendly. That's because it's on a slightly wider base. Again, we'll get to that in the outsole part of today's review. Okay guys, let's start with the upper. One of my favourite features of any Brooks shoe, really. They do execute their uppers extremely well. So let's start off with the fact that you got multiple widths again with Brooks, and in the Ghost 15 we've got 3 widths available, both men's and women's, and the widths are above me here on your screen. And in the Ghost 15 we have 4 widths. Again, the widths are available above me on this screen here. So with the actual fit and feel of both uppers, you're going to find that the Ghost Max in comparison to the Ghost 15 is going to be marginally deeper, especially through the forefoot. So you've got a little bit more wriggle room in comparison to what the 15 has on offer. And the other thing too with the upper is it's the same technical construction, so it's an engineered mesh. However, there's a slightly tighter weave on the Ghost Max around the medial side of the forefoot as well as the lateral side of the forefoot as well. So they put a little bit more effort in that construction where that upper meets the midsole in the Ghost Max than what you find with the Ghost 15. Still a great execution of upper through the midsole to upper sort of connection point. However, a little bit more construction has been put into play with regards to the upper meeting the midsole. Now, the other thing too is I've said this in many of my Brooks reviews gone by. One of my favourite features is the internal heel counter and collar with the Ghost Max. So we got that really soft material that Brooks have been very well known for with regards to the execution of their heel collars, memory foam on play, internal heel counter construction, very similar height, very similar amount of memory foam with regards to 15 to the Ghost Max. So I wouldn't say one is totally different than the other. If anything, there might be a little bit less memory foam on offer with the Ghost Max, which I think is a good thing because your shoe is marginally heavier, and that's more due to the midsole configuration, which we'll get to in a second. But overall, the shoes come in multiple widths, very comfortable, slightly deeper feel with the Ghost Max in comparison to what you find with the 15. Okay, let's jump to the bottom of the shoe and talk all things outsole. So first things first, in comparison Ghost Max to 15, you've still got the full ground coverage with their outsole. So you've got plenty of rubber from the back of the heel right through to the forefoot. The obvious variance is you can see that the Ghost Max has a lot more width, larger surface area than what you see with the Ghost 15. In regards to the actual flex screws through the forefoot, very similar to where they're strategically been placed. They're providing a little bit more of a filled out outsole on the medial side of that forefoot, which is where the green rubber has been strategically placed. And what that's going to do is it's going to offer that first metatarsal a little bit more structure and support, not be overly flexible through your exit out of your gait cycle. And we find the same thing with the Ghost 15. They have filled out that horizontal flex groove in that forefoot to provide a little bit more support for that flexibility through the front half of the shoe. The other thing to note, which I sort of have half touched on, is that Brooks have placed their more durable rubber in the strategically heel strike zone of the Ghost 15, as well as the Ghost Max, which is on this lateral side of your heel. So that is a different compound of rubber in comparison to the other strategically placed rubber. Now that's the green rubber. It's a lighter, softer compound, and this rubber has been strategically placed the back half, just like the Ghost 15. So for your heel strikers who tend to hit the ground a little bit harder, in general terms, you want a slightly more durable rubber on that back lateral side of your midsole. Now, the other thing with the outsole of the Ghost Max 15, I want to call it out, is you can see that vertical decoupled line, and that does strategically come through to the lateral side of the forefoot, and that's to provide a little bit more cushioning and to actually work with that early rocker and that midsole, which is on a slightly lower heel to toe drop, which we'll get to in a second. So they strategically place that vertical decoupled line to complement what Brooks have achieved with the midsole engineering, which we'll get to right now. Okay, talking about the midsole of today's review, which is essentially where most of our conversation is going to be directed. Now, stats first, we have a 28mm heel and a 22mm forefoot for that offset of 6mm. Double the offset, and we have a 24 heel and a 12 forefoot for a variance of 12mm. So a really big change with regards to the stack height and the offset. A little bit higher off the ground with the Ghost Max, and obviously you would expect that with the name. So we've gone 4mm higher in regards to the stack height and the heel, however, not as aggressive with regards to that heel to toe pitch. The actual midsole breakdown is, technically speaking, supposed to be the same. It's DNA Loft version 2. I'm going to tell you right now, let's pause, let's have a breather, because both midsoles are significantly different with regards to their durometer. The Ghost Max is significantly softer underneath the foot, and that's where it can be a little bit confusing from time to time, where brands do put the same badge on a specific engineering feature of a shoe. More often than not, it's the midsole we're talking about. So with the DNA Loft version 2, I can tell you right now at home, it is not the same as regards to the Ghost 15. A slightly firmer, more durable midsole, I'd probably say, with regards to the Ghost 15, but the Ghost Max is very soft underneath the foot, and you're going to find it to be a little bit more smoother, and that's more due to the fact of that 6mm offset with regards to the overall transition of this shoe, having a little bit more foam through the forefoot. Now, the overall performance of both midsoles, I'll just talk to the Ghost Max just for a brief moment. So as I have said earlier in this review, the rocker is a little bit sort of earlier with regards to its positioning, with regards to where it's been strategically placed in this shoe. That is a great thing, because it's going to play right to that person who enjoys that nice, easy, effortless release through their entire gait cycle. Very similar to your Clifton franchise from Hoka, which is an extremely popular max cushioned running shoe, which has been on the market now for the best part of 9 to 10 years. However, what I want to talk about is regards to the stack height. Now, we have got that 28mm stack. It's a little bit on the lower end with regards to a lot of max cushion shoes out there. We tend to see them north of 30, pushing up towards that 40mm stack height. And I think that's a really important topic of discussion, because what we find when we go higher off the ground with a lot of shoes, it does provide a really soft, plush ride underneath your foot. However, it can actually make a runner hit the ground a lot harder. They try to push through that foam to get more of a proprioceptive feel. What I've found with the Ghost Max on my run this morning is that I don't have to hit the ground as hard in this shoe than I do kind of a Clifton, a Bondi, or even a Moore from New Balance, for example, which are all great shoes and they perform quite well. I can hit the ground a little bit with a little bit more ease with regards to the Ghost Max running shoe, and I like that. So I'm not putting as much vertical force through my body, but I'm getting all the performance benefits out of a max cushioned shoe that you would expect and want out of a shoe like this, and obviously with that rocker midsole which is on play. Ghost 15 in comparison to Ghost Max. Now, as I touched on, it's a firmer midsole, obviously that high heel to toe gradient. I find this shoe is going to be probably a little bit more targeted towards that runner that kind of hits the ground a little bit harder in their heel, so comes down heel first, and what wants and needs that higher heel to toe drop to take a bit of pressure off of that Achilles and calf muscle. Now what we'll find with this shoe, you're going to get the same benefit with reducing load on the Achilles and calf, but that's coming from that early rocker, not necessarily the heel to toe offset. So this shoe here, you're probably going to find the ground contact time to be a little bit more in comparison to the two, but the perceived effort with this midsole is going to be significantly less, in my opinion. Well, that's what I actually found with both shoes. Okay, guys, in summarising, I think Brooks have absolutely nailed it with the Ghost Max. Now, it does kind of frustrate me from time to time when brands use the same franchise but confuse us, the running community. You've got a Ghost franchise that's been around now for 15 years, and then they've gone and called a shoe the Ghost Max. We saw it with the Kayano and the Kayano Light, or the Nimbus and the Nimbus Light. It certainly served a purpose and worked quite well, but it can confuse the market or the demographic of runners out there. So what I've found with this shoe, or this shoe here, pardon me, is it is one of the best Brooks shoes that they have ever made, period, full stop right now. I absolutely love this shoe. It's available in widths. It's very comfortable. It's going to talk to a lot more runners out there who have been searching for a really true max cushion mileage runner from Brooks, looking for that rocker midsole. It is hitting the brief in every aspect, in my opinion. Ghost 15, pardon me, is still going to talk to a lot of runners out there, those honest, Brooks consumers that have been running in this brand for a decade plus. They know what they get from their Brooks running shoes, and the Ghost franchise is going to continue to do that from 16 to 17 and so on. What you will find with this shoe, though, is Brooks are going to probably, and I say this because I've heard a little bit of a whisper down the grapevine, that this midsole or this mold that they've used in the Ghost Max is probably going to be used in another shoe in the mid part to back end of 2024. So just watch this space. They will reuse or repurpose this midsole. And this max cushion theme is not going to stop here with the Ghost franchise. Glycerin will come in a Glycerin Max, and those details will come to you through us at a later date, probably in the back half of 2023, when we find out a little bit more information about that shoe. But we're here to talk about the Ghost Max. This shoe here is absolutely fabulous for your easy days. You can pick up the pace in this shoe. If you're a runner that's just looking for an honest shoe with it effortless transition, I would strongly suggest giving the Ghost Max a go. If you're coming from Clifton, if you've used the Moors, if you've used a Glide Ride from ASICS, for example, just to name a few, I'd certainly suggest giving the Ghost Max a go. Very fun shoe to run in. I like what this shoe's done for me on my couple of runs, and I'm going to keep using that is for sure. Guys, any questions with regards to the Ghost Max or the Ghost 15 or the comparison between both of them, let us know in the comment section below. We love to hear from you, the running community all over the world. Until next time, stay safe, be kind to one another, happy running, and we will see you out on the road. Take care.